Welcome Cancer to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 17th of June for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. On the screen now I'm showing the event chart right at the start of the week. As ever, we need to be mindful of your ruling planet, the Moon. The Moon's in the sign of balance, Libra, so we'd all like balance in our lives. Sometimes it can be a little bit unattainable. But having the Moon in the sign of Libra at the start of this week for you is very evocative in terms of your immediate emotional environment. And it does link back to the Sun in your 12th house, which is deeply reflective in a beautiful way. So you may have come to some important positions on quite a few strands, maybe some very sensitive strands that have been evolving in quite a big way right through the start of June. The sign of Gemini has a reputation of being very bubbly, interactive and communicative. And you may have been communicating, but I feel it's been communications with meaning. Because for you, they're all in house 12, that collective of Jupiter, the Sun, Mercury and Venus. And house 12 is where we heal, but it can be where we just need a little bit more solitude. It can be where we think about things very profoundly. But also it can be where we have separations, because the 12th house is the sector of culmination. It's where things are finalising for us. So there may have been some very deep stuff going on, particularly around relationships. If you have felt hugely nostalgic for someone from your past, it wouldn't be a surprise. If you've had some very vivid dreams and memories coming up, it wouldn't be a surprise. But in any horoscope, the most important player is always the planet right at the top of the chart. And in your case, that is Neptune. Neptune in your sister water sign of Pisces has been in that sign since 2012 and has probably brought a lot of enrichment in terms of your emotional and spiritual world and understanding. Huge amount of knowledge. But it is going to move next year into Aries, ending a 160-degree cycle. And so for us all, collectively, we're being asked to think about our connectivity to one another, the meaning of our lives. Neptune is a shimmering, sometimes imperceptible, but hugely powerful influence, and it is clashing with both Venus and Mercury on the first day of this week. So for you, house 9 can amplify your feelings. So around any kind of relationship, it could be around a family tie, it could be around a friendship or a romantic involvement. Whatever you're feeling, the chances are you're going to be feeling it in a very powerful way. But if it's a good feeling, that can be very enriching. If there's a sense of loss or the memories coming up point towards a time that was different, better, more fulfilling, you are going to feel that very vividly. But also, Cancer, you're going to move into your own power very rapidly, because later on Monday, both Mercury and Venus move into your sign. That's a great development. This joint ingress is relatively uncommon, and Mercury in your sign is asking you to move into the moment in your thinking. It could be that an idea that's been building up on the back burner in recent weeks can now start to dart around in your consciousness. But Venus moving into your sign is wonderful if you want to think about giving yourself some kind of dynamic makeover. We all like to have a change of approach, even if we're a dedicated follower of fashion, and that can give us a sense of freshness. So there is a fresh energy developing in your situation as Monday goes on. But it's going to gain traction because on Thursday, the Sun moves back into your sign for the first time in 11 months. But what's critically important about this is it also ushers in the second cardinal quadrant. Western tropical astrology has 4 quadrants of 13 weeks. The second one is very much about our environment. It's about how we feel. So it's very much in keeping with the value of your sign. You're also a cardinal sign, a leader sign. Yes, you're ruled by the moon, which makes you very empathetic, but you're also brilliant at managing anything. So you're going to come out of the cocoon that's been quite powerful in recent weeks, or the heightened sense of sensitivity, which has been palpable, and feel a lot more rugged and a lot more robust to deal with life's stresses and strains. So if you have felt quite vulnerable recently, you're going to feel much more strength coming into your energy banks this week. But Venus and Mercury early in the week, and then the Sun all clash with Pluto. And Pluto's in the part of your situation with where you're deeply invested, whether it's a job you have, whether it's a partnership, whether it is your personal finances or long-term investments that you've got. It can work, that investment, in the practical, tangible way as well as emotionally. But the first house is very much about us as individuals. Balancing first and eighth house energy, particularly when Pluto's in the mix, is not an easy hoe, because Pluto comes with some demands. Certainly in terms of other people, if you're wanting to break free from something, for example, perhaps a relationship which has run its course, don't necessarily think that the other person's going to give you your release easily. There could be some politics. Or if you work in an environment where it's just too demanding and you decide you're going to look for another job, or you start your own business, that can all be really exciting, but the exit may not be entirely tranquil. Just bear it in mind. And that's going to be underlined by the full moon in your opposite sign of Saturday. When the moon, your ruler, goes opposite your sun, she's in her weakest position. But Neptune also applies to this event. And it could be that someone's going to accuse you of being too single-minded, wanting everything too much on your terms. Have they got a point? You may need to consider this, but because Neptune's so late in the sign of Pisces, we're getting, almost for you, a 10th house energy, how you connect to the wider world and how that influences your relationships. So I think it could be a professional situation as much as a personal one, or it could be about who gains the upper hand, who's having the final say in a personal relationship. And if there is some uncertainty, or you feel someone's not very clear with you, or someone feels that you're not very clear, or someone seems unavailable or evasive, those can be the issues that you may need to grapple with as this week draws to a close. But sometimes in life, Cancer, we have to decide that we are going to reclaim our power. And I want to make you aware of the role of Mars, because Mars is very much about our individuality. And for you, it's in the 11th house, which is good for networking and being collaborative. But it's also about your future, your long-term future. And Mars last week was afflicted badly by Pluto. So I think you may have experienced some heavy politics at the start of last week. As this week begins, Mars forges a much more beneficial link to Jupiter. So something around what you sense that's to do with your future and your connections, let that guide you. But if you do feel that you need to reclaim that power, be more single-minded and not necessarily be so availing to fitting into what other people want, you'll need to recognise that and respect it, even if the transition to gain that authority or autonomy is going to be a little bit political. I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much for joining me. If you've yet to subscribe to the channel, please do so now.